morning, everyone. Welcome to Pandesal Forum here at 84-year-old Kamuning Bakery Cafe. We have a very important topic. Some people do not know this topic is very urgent and important. 6 months ago, President Bongbong Marcos made a speech in March this year saying that Philippines is headed for a water crisis. Sabi niya, thank you to Engineer Richard Tan for reminding. I was at a reception, a birthday dinner, and then we discussed. I discovered from Engineer Richard Tan over there. He's the humble, very accomplished engineering firm boss. He said he and his friends from Sweden have something to offer the Philippines. President Bongbong Marcos in March this year said the Philippines is facing a water crisis with 11 million families here in the country still lacking access to clean water. Also, I researched, when you Google water situation in the Philippines, there are many articles citing the problem that we face. There is one article saying the United Nations and UNICEF, they have a data. I will verify later with our brilliant speakers beside me, led by Mr. Alec Pala and the others. UN and UNICEF data showed here in the Philippines, 53% now of households or families lack safely managed water supply, and 39% of households nationwide lack safe sanitation. I think it follows, if we don't have clean water supply, we don't have safe sanitation. So today, we shall talk about water and the possible technological options or alternatives to solve this situation. In Sweden, they have this technology of desalination. Let us later on listen to the experts. First, we'd like to invite the expert on Philippine water situation to give us an overview. What is happening in the Philippines? What is the real situation? And then we'll ask him to interact with the experts from Sweden and their partners in the Philippines. I will mention their names first one by one. Later on, I will invite each one of them to give an opening statement. After the opening statement, we'll open the floor for questions from our media friends here and the others via Facebook Live, via Zoom. So I'll mention your names lang muna, a short and then each one. Of course, we have here Mr. Dondi Alikpala beside me, former MWSS administrator and former head of NWRB and expert on water. Next, we have beside him is Mr. Roy Jorklund. Mr. Roy Jorklund from Sweden. He is from Aqua-Veritas. Later on, he will give an opening statement also. And beside him is Mr. Claes Lundgen. Not the younger brother of the famous actor, but also brilliant. He's from Lux Solana Energy Corporation. Lux or Lux? Lux, yes, correct. Lux Solana Energy Corporation. And last but not the least, I think one of the brightest persons on this in this panel, one of the although yes, the prettiest and definitely youngest, I think, Dr. Sunshine Tan, also of Aqua-Veritas. Yes, later on for the opening statement. First, we'd like to invite Mr. Dondi Alikpala to give us an overview of the water situation in the Philippines. Former MWSS administrator and former head of NWRB, plus other affiliations which he could mention. Welcome again here, Mr. Dondi Alikpala.
Hi, good morning. So I'll try Sana nagpalawa. I should have brought a PowerPoint, but you know,
I forgot to mention this morning on the way here, sinabihan ako ng two cabinet people, one budget secretary Margo Salcedo na suki of Kamuning Bakery. Sabi niya, uy Wilson, magaling yan si Mr. Tondi Aripala, regards mo ko, Inquirer columnist yan. And former cabinet secretary Ronald Llamas, tinext ako, sabi niya, magaling yan si Dondi. Yun.
sige, sige. Thank you. So, just try to give an overview of the water situation in the Philippines. So, you know, we're one of the countries that's blessed in water. In terms of rainfall, we're probably, I think we're number 8 worldwide in terms of rainfall. But even if with all that rainfall, we have problems, no? One is we're an archipelago, which means hindi na to store in water. And also, we were talking about forests. Forests are getting denuded. And the role of the forest, the watersheds, it stores that water so it'll, to shed over time. And unfortunately, that's not happening. So when we look at that, plus we have a growing population, you look at what we look at water per capita, how much water is available per person. And when you look at the amount of water available per person, we're one of the lowest in Southeast Asia already. So that means we have to manage a little water we have left. And if you look at it over the Philippines, it becomes more interesting, no? Because I said in Southeast Asia, but if you look at the Philippines, the UN has some thresholds here. If you have less than 500 cubic meters of water available per year, per person, and this is water that goes to various uses, irrigation, hydro, below 500, that's like parang Middle East, that's absolute scarcity. If it's below 1,000 cubic meters, that's water scarcity, no? And then if it's below 1,700 per cubic meter per person, that's water stress. And pagdating sa water absolute scarcity, ang absolute scarcity na ang region, ang NCR, ang region 4A at ang region 3. And that's because even with the volume of water, the population is high. So on a per capita basis, it's really small, no? It's less than 500. And over time, as your population grows, that volume becomes lower and lower and lower. So in the annual poverty indicator survey of 2020, ang sabi nila, 54, aside from the data that Wilson pointed out, only 54.1 persons or 54.1% of families in the Philippines have household connections. Only 54. So that means yung balance, either they get, yung nagpipila balde, in communal faucet, or they have to get from point sources, mga wells, they have to go to the river, mga ponds for their water. What's also interesting is, of the 54.1, actually, if you break it down per region, I think only 3 regions, I forgot which, have over 50% actually, and 92% yata NCR na. So most of the regions, of the 17 regions in the country, about 14 regions are actually below 50%, and mostly at the 30%. So in 2019, if you remember, nawalan tayo ng tubig, people were getting water from the, that's a regular occurrence outside Metro Manila. Most people don't have access to that water, and if you don't have that water, people get sick. It's hard to push for economic development. Some children will not go to school. Sabihin natin kung babae ka, may period ka, hindi ka na lang papasok kung walang tubig yung eskwelahan. So maraming issues related to not having water. Another interesting is like in that same studies, more than, I think 48% of people in the country have to rely on refilling stations, 48% refilling stations. And then in urban areas, it's more than 50%. So that's water. But I don't think it's that dire. I think it's a problem of management. We can manage, because if you look at a place like Singapore, that has no watersheds, nothing. they're able to provide water. If they can do it, we can do it. And desalination is one of the ways they're doing it. They also, yung drainage nila, kinokollect yan. Pupunta sa reservoir. Tayo, yung drainage natin, tinatapon natin. And then also, they have something called new water, which is sewer water, which they clean. Now, our problem in terms of, speaking now of sanitation, the definition here kasi is how many people have access to toilets. It's over 80%, but it's still not good enough, no? Because that leads again to disease. So, but on top of that, in terms of the water volume that we treat, siguro wala pang 10% of the whole country. We don't have specific numbers, but in Metro Manila, siguro mga 26% of the water is treated on sewer. We don't have data on septage. So we still have a long way to go. But we don't, when we manage water, ang hirap if we look at the whole country, but we can do it city by city, province by province. There are ways to do it. So is it a water scarcity issue? It's probably a management scarcity issue, because if Singapore can do it, we can do it. And there are many ways that we can do it. But we have to be a little more creative, and the awareness has to be high. So I appreciate fora like this because it helps push for that awareness. Because in Singapore, it's really important for everyone to know what the situation of the water is. So may kusa sila to even try to cut back where they can. And it's also the same mentality you'll see in Europe. We take water for granted because binabaha tayo, we see it rain, but at the same time, wala tayong tubig at maraming tao sa Pilipinas ang walang tubig.
Amazing overview. Thank you, Mr. Dondi Alikpala, for assessing the water situation, actually the water crisis situation in the country. Later on, we could ask him questions. Next, we'd like to invite for opening statement, hopefully to provide a good solution to what Mr. Alikpala just presented to us, Mr. Roy Björklund of Sweden, from Aqua-Veritas. Welcome for your opening statement.
Hello, yes. Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Roy Björklund, and I'm the technical director and the co-founder of the Aqua-Veritas. And what we can do with our system is it's a containerized desalination plant that can not only desalinate seawater, it can also cleaning the rivers, the lake water, and deep well water, and so on. Our units have been operating in Sweden for the last 4 or 5 years, and not to be too technical, but it's fully computerized, so no human error can be done, and more of that is that it's fully operating by a remote, so everyone, the operator or the owners, can online checking the performance of the unit. The capacity of a container can be from 100 cubic meter up to 1,000 cubic meter. But to give you a little bit perspective of that, a 20-foot container can give 500,000 liters of water per day. So the meaning with a catastrophe like a typhoon or an earthquake, we can supply 250,000 people with drinking water per day. And that's what we need to survive. So also because it's a container, it's very easy to move it and go from one place to another. Put it on a truck, bring it to the place where it's needed. And so that makes it very, very handy for many situations, not only catastrophe or typhoons or whatever. But I will be here and you can ask me more questions later on.
Thank you very much. Sounds very optimistic, a very good option, especially you mentioned typhoons and natural disasters. I think one of the biggest problems of calamities would be water. Communities would be wiped out and all that. So that would be very interesting for discussion. Please be ready with our questions. Thank you, Mr. George Lund. Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Klaas Lundgren of Lux Solana Energy Corporation to give us his opening statement regarding the water situation and what other options in their country of Sweden that they could share with us. Welcome, Mr. Lundgren.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is the same as the actor, although we are not related. So it's take for granted that I know who he is, and he was actually brought and grew up about 10 kilometers away from me in Stockholm. Now, my relationship to this technology is that I, together with Roy, has been working now for about 2 years to introduce this technology. But we have taken it one step further. One of the problems in this country is also we can provide water, but the water is also very cheap in this country. Compared to Sweden, it's about 10% of the price of the Swedish water. That means that people are expecting to get water to a very low cost. Now, we normally also compare apples and pears. Unfortunately, the water that is in our taps, people are very, very seldom drinking that water, particularly in the big cities. But this technology is specifically suited for this country because it's, as Roy said, flexible with the containers. It can be put up anywhere. And as this is an island, an archipelago country, this is absolutely perfectly suited. But the price is, of course, a challenge in itself. And the reason for that is that, of course, this container uses electricity to produce the water. And electricity in this country, as you know, is fairly expensive. So if you're using 3 to 4 kilowatt hours per cubic meters to produce water, then the cost will be too high compared to what people are used to in this country. So we have taken that one step further by also combining this with solar panels and solar cells and solar parks. And we actually, through Lux Solana Energy Corporation, now starting the first test of this up in Rizal. We will start to build this in 2 months from now, to combining also this technology with Aqua-Veritas, meaning we can both produce electricity and solar. Just a statement also what Dondi said before, that we have 48% that are not have available tap water, so to speak. That goes for many things in this country. It goes for electricity also. It goes for internet. It goes from practically many of these places outside the big cities are unfortunately underprivileged and cannot access to all these sort of technologies that we take for granted here in Manila or in Cebu. So this is a challenge in itself. But the technology that Roy has been part of developing is absolutely fantastic, and we think this is a source for saving and handling many of the water situations, particularly on the islands, particularly out in the provinces in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klaas Lundgren, for giving us an overview of a possible technological solution to our water crisis situation. Later on, let us ask him and the other panelists our questions. Let us prepare. Next, last but not the least, Ms. Dr. Sunshine Tan of Aqua-Veritas. She has a PhD in Environmental Engineering from University of the Philippines. Also, master's degree in Geotechnical Engineering from University of Tokyo. Also, among her academic pursuits, include research collaborating with the Mines and Geoscience Bureau, MGB, and the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute for groundwater salinity tracing in Pampanga, and many other impressive backgrounds. Let us welcome Dr. Sunshine Tan to help enlighten us about this water situation of the Philippines and possible solutions in her opening statement. Welcome.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good morning sa lahat ng nanunood, whether online or face-to-face here. Thank you so much for your time. So I would like to add with what our panelists just said, no? It's so amazing in the Philippines, we don't have clean water that's available. And in fact, nakakagulat, even in the province of Pampanga, you have salinity problems right in front of your tap water. So bakit, like, why does this happen? So of course, it's multifaceted. You have pumping problems dun sa groundwater natin, and meron ding sinasabi silang concentration of, you know, cations that might add to the salinity of the water that we get. Aside from that, if you look at major cities such as Cebu, or even Bohol, if you look at, you know, beachside provinces or cities, they actually have problems also with their tap water. Kung mapapansin nyo, if you wash your utensils, it could easily get corroded. So it's also a very interesting, you know, thing that you can see in your daily life if, as a Filipino, just to see that. So it brings you awareness na we're not there yet, that we have clean water easily available. So it's right that we do have to have awareness that we have to take care of our water resources here. There's a big importance in water management as well. So here with Aqua-Veritas, I just want to give you a short insight on what it is. And we have a short presentation also on the basic idea of what it is. So, okay, so Aegis is a company pushing Aqua-Veritas also. So it's a technology developed in Sweden, specializing in water desalination and water purification. So what sets it apart is that it's a computerized desalination plant. So eliminating most human errors that can lead to downtime and costly maintenance. Actually, one of the big problems with our water suppliers is that sometimes meron talaga silang downtime, and usually it's because of human errors. So for this system, it's actually fully computerized. I just want to give a background on what cleaning water is. So we have different stages. The smallest stages would be microfiltration. So maybe that's what you get from your water supplier. Kuwari bibili kayo sa mga water refilling stations. That's the lowest filtration that you can get, that you can drink. So among that line, reverse osmosis is the highest form of cleaning water because it can also take out, siya lang yung kaya mag-take out ng ions, which is, for this one, it's salinity dun sa seawater. So isipin nyo yung seawater, kaya niya gawing drinking water, which is really amazing. So reverse osmosis is the highest form of cleaning or filtration. Okay. So Aqua-Veritas actually uses reverse osmosis. So Aqua-Veritas, what sets it apart, nasa loob siya ng isang container. It's in a mobile container. This is an actual photo of Aqua-Veritas being used in Sweden. So all of the filtration system is inside this container. And obviously, you can move it all around wherever you are. This is inside Aqua-Veritas. So this is the filter. That's actually the most expensive item inside this container because this is the one that who is responsible of cleaning or taking out all the impurities in your water. So everything is IO certified. So there's also a quality there that we make. So actually, there's a container now being used in Sweden. Okay, so let's go to Sweden and see if you check on the Google Maps, the container there, if you Google, and the pump that is the source of water that is being cleaned by Aqua-Veritas. It's actually supporting a small village now in Sweden and supplying water there. So they're getting their water supply from their lake. So actually, we can also do a live demo of Aqua-Veritas, which is a fully automated system. So there's actually a website where you can run the whole machine. So just imagine you're in the Philippines and your container is somewhere in Sweden. You can actually run it through technology now. Next slide. So this is just to show you what the system looks like. So it's very easy. It's like just really, you can even do it on your phone. Just to turn the machine on and turn it off, easily doable in this technology. And of course, it logs all the information that your technician might need. So everything is recorded. So everything looks easy. It's like having an app in your phone and just being able to use it easily. Very user-friendly. So otherwise, without technology, like for any other no technology use, you'd have a lot of people doing it. And usually it's because of human errors that creates a problem with filtration systems. So most of the common human errors is actually cleaning the filter. If you don't put the right pressure or clean the filter correctly, you might really destroy it. And again, like I've said, the most expensive expensive part of the reverse osmosis is the filters itself. So those are pictures of it. And for the projects that are currently using reverse osmosis or Aqua-Veritas, we have a place where they use lake surface water to provide clean water to the village. And then the next would be this place where they use it in a harbor environment. So even harbor water, you can use it. Actually, for this equipment, you can even use it in Pasig River, right, Roy? So imagine having drinking water or purified water right from the Pasig River. And this is even used in golf courses where you can provide irrigation for it. Okay, so that ends the short presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sunshine Tan, for giving us a very exciting alternative. Hopefully, we could get, we have questions already here from our media friends. We have several. Ladies first muna, no? Ay, muna.
Sheila po from SMNI News, sir. Ano po yung nakikita nating solusyon, sir? Doon po nga sa sinasabi nyo kanina na maraming mga areas po dito sa Philippines yung walang access sa malinis na tubig. And at the same time, dito naman po sa Metro Manila, sir, may access nga sa tubig, pero yung water quality naman din yung problema. May mga ilang lugar po dito na naninilaw yung tubig na lumalabas sa kanilang gripo. Yun lang po, sir.
You know, you have to look at it from a very holistic solution. No? On one side, so there's a supply issue, but there's also a demand issue. On the supply issue, we're putting too many, first of all, hindi ako administrator ng MWSS, chairman. So one, we put too many eggs in one basket. For too many years, we only relied on Angat. Actually, it's still the primary source, no? Which is now mga 96%, dati 97%, pero, so one of the things you have to do is diversify your sources. So kung may problema sa isa, at least you still have other alternatives. So now there's several projects ongoing in Laguna Lake. Ngayon yung mga naninilaw, sa palagay ko sa south yon, okay, one, or it might be in the pipe system because when it leaves Balara or it leaves La Mesa, andun yung mga treatment plants, so ang linis-linis ng tubig na yon. So it could be in the pipe system, but the pipes are healthy. It might be in the pipe system in your house sometimes or in your condo building. So there are contaminants there na pick up. Minsan naman, di ba, when you open your faucet for the first time, that's from the rust in your pipes. Okay? So on the south, the problem is Laguna Lake. So they put up treatment plants, and you don't want, if this is your problem, you want to have a solution that will address the problem. So they put up technologies to address the problem. The problem in Laguna Lake is because we're not treating our wastewater well, and because sometimes you have inflows from Manila Bay, lumalaki yung problem. Yung solution nandito pa, you have to adjust the technology. But each time you adjust the technology, nagmamahal. So if you're, minsan yung problema, it's temporary, di ba? So if you raise it, tapos ang solution mo, you don't want to keep it there all the time because if it goes low, you want to adjust. So sometimes they need to keep adjusting. So that's one problem. So especially on the west bay of Laguna Lake, it's kind of problematic. So one of the things, you know what, at least Manila Water and Maynilad right now are trying to be creative. Maynilad, they have a wastewater treatment plant, and they found out that the wastewater that they treat, the post-treatment, malinis na, no, is cleaner than Laguna Lake. So why will you put that clean water in Laguna Lake? So now they're treating that for it to become water, to be brought back to the system. So that's one. They're also now looking at projects on the east side of Manila Bay where the water is cleaner, right? Now, when they treat the water, that's reverse osmosis. I mean, that's what these guys are talking about. And that's why reverse osmosis is really important. So they look at the east side of the bay, among other things. Now, those are supply issues. They have problems with the Kaliwa Dam. There was a forum here months ago to talk about issues, but I think MWSS has gotten the clearance, so there's a go-ahead already. Now, the demand side. We also have to look at how can we find ways to make people more conscious of their water use. The easiest way is to use water efficient fixtures. So there are faucets that use less water than other faucets. There are shower heads that do that. In Europe, it's very popular. In other countries in Asia, may labeling, oh, this water is more efficient than that. What's surprising, in the Philippines, the same faucet, kasi pare-pareho naman yan, Delta, American Standard, Grohe, di ba? When they come here, wala yung label na yon. I don't, that's what, yun ang panawagan namin sa industry. Label your faucets, label your fixtures to say what kind of flow it has so the consumers have a choice. I can use less water. And when you have, if a consumer uses less water, two things happen. One, your water bill goes lower, and you don't feel the difference kasi may kasamang hangin. And second, then there's less water. And second, there's more water available in the system for people who don't have water. So you have to tackle it from both sides, supply and demand. And it's holistic, and you have to address the wastewater. Now, MWSS, Manila Water, they're addressing that, may sewer septage, but all the other towns around Laguna that contribute, Rizal, lahat yan, they all dump their wastewater also in Laguna Lake. So that's where these are the areas that need to level up pagdating sa wastewater treatment.
Sir, follow-up lang po, sir. Sinabi niyo kasi malaking factor yung sa Laguna Lake. Malaking hamon din po ba, sir, yung mga nakapalibot doon sa Laguna Lake na naninirahan mga informal settlers?
Good question. So everybody assumes na ang problema ay yung informal settlers. Pero ang problema, hindi lang informal settlers. Baka mas marami pa. First of all, dati industrial ang problema. Ngayon, it's less. Kasi napipenalize na yung industries Mas minsan naging problema, okay, dito sa Quezon City, maaring septic tank system dito. Hindi sewer. Ang mga sewer nakikita natin sa Makati, mga field invest, mga project 5, project 4, those are sewer system. Those go straight to a treatment plant. But septic systems, when they reach a certain point, they just go to the drainage. In drainage ends up in our ponds, our creeks, Marikina River, Laguna Lake, Manila Bay. So, everybody in Metro Manila contributes to the wastewater, the pollution in Laguna Lake, hindi lang yung mga taong nakapaligid sa Laguna Lake.
Kasi I heard, pinapakinggan ko po kanina yung sinasabi nyo, and you've mentioned na we have a management issue sa pagdating po sa water dito sa Pilipinas. And the President, during his SONA, he mentioned the need for a Department of Water Management. And sa pagkakalam ko, parang nasa committee level pa lang yan ngayon. So do you think kailangan pong i-prioritize na? Ano pong panawagan natin sa Congress? Kailangan bang asikasuhin na, madaliin na yung pagpasa dito sa batas? And also, sir, itong project or itong Aqua-Veritas, viable or feasible ba to sa mga yung mga malalayong lugar sa Pilipinas na nangangailangan nung ganito? Kasi ang ganda nung idea eh. Para ang ganda, very modern pa siya, computerized. Pero dun sa mga malalayong provinces sa Pilipinas, kakayanin po pa siya. Ano yung pwedeng gawin ng Aqua-Veritas to partner with the LGU ba? Ano yung recommendation niyo po? Thank you.
I'll throw a question. What agency is in charge of water and sanitation in the Philippines? Sino ang may pananagutan para malaman kung if we're doing to compel? Anyway, ang sagot yan, wala. There's no agency responsible for water. Ang MWSS, Metro Manila lang. Ang LUA, Local Water Utilities Administration, they're responsible for water districts lang. And there are only 530 plus water districts in the country out of 1,600 plus LGUs, right? So there are huge gaps. The role of the Department of Water, first, it's the same bill, the bill has Department of Water and Water Regulatory Commission. So parang ERC yan, to compel, para may oversight sa water and sanitation. The Department of Water is now being created to really find ways to manage our water resources better. How can we manage our rivers better, our lakes better, look at it from quantity and quality, and how can we find synergies? We talked about holistic solutions. Can irrigation or can the wastewater from cities be used for irrigation? Can we use irrigation and hydropower together? Kasi canals, but pwede ba maglagay ng turbines doon? Can we find synergies between, can we use the same transmission pipes for water and irrigation? So, but you have to do it at a higher level, and that's, I think, the primary role of the Department of Water. How can should the drainage system be managed better? How can we use floods? How can we harness floods? So that's what we want to see with this department, this institutional change. On the solution, desalination is expensive. You need power, and power in the Philippines is one of the most expensive. But is desalination the most expensive water? It's not the most expensive water. So we talked about 3 kilowatts, and let's say the cost is, the rule of thumb is about, let's say 10 pesos ang kilowatt. Some places 10, some 11. Gawin na lang natin plus admin cost per cubic meter, that's 1,000 liters. Let's say 50 pesos, just as a rule of thumb. Now Cebu is bidding out, Metro Cebu Water District is bidding out projects for desalination only because their groundwater is contaminated. And you probably need reverse osmosis at this point to have it clean because you get salt intrusion and you need reverse osmosis again to treat that. The rivers are too far away. You'll need to tunnel, you put dams. So desalination is now their option of choice in Cebu City. And again, is it the most expensive? The people who complain about water being expensive are the people who already have water. But we said only 54% are connected. So the balance, the 46%, where they get their water? Pila Balde. Pila Balde, magbabayad yan ng 2 pesos or 3 pesos per cubic meter. Ano yan? Bawat 20 liters. 2 pesos is 100 pesos per cubic meter. 3 pesos is 150 pesos per cubic meter. If you buy this is about, I guess, 500 millimeters or half a liter. If you pay 20 pesos for this, so a liter is 40 pesos, you're paying 40,000 pesos per cubic meter. Compare that to 50 pesos. It's expensive because it's more expensive than traditional sources, than groundwater or surface water sources, which are all under 20 pesos. But in the absence of water, any traditional source, you need to be creative, and desalination might be it. In smaller islands, there's no groundwater. So many island communities, yung mga fishermen have to go to the mainland, buy from refilling stations, and bring, in refilling station, in blue 5-gallon, 20 liters in yun, they're paying, say, 40 pesos. Right? So that's about 2,000 pesos per cubic meter. And these are our country's poor who are paying more for water than the people in our Makati subdivisions. So you have to put it in perspective. So putting this kind of solution in island communities might actually be cheaper for the poor than whatever method they're securing the water, whatever method they're paying today.
Can I give a comment as well? Exactly what Don is saying. Many places
Incredible.
in this country is having all the problems with the water supply to the islands. I mean, people are getting bulk supply by going with a boat or transporting it with a truck. And of course, the water's cost for that is much, much higher. So we're actually cheating ourselves a little bit. And the people who are actually suffering the most from that is the poor population, the underprivileged people. So that's why exactly what Don is saying, to put up this type of container solution in many places in this country, in particularly outside the big cities, like many municipalities like San Fernando in La Union, or Nasugbo in Batangas, or places like that, where they also have all these type of problems, but it's never addressed really in Manila or in Cebu. And now Cebu, on top of that, exactly what Don is saying, I think they have 2,000 deep wells drilled on that island, and most of them are contaminated today. So the only way for them to get the water is now to take it by tank boats and trucks and places, things like that, to get it into the city. So we're actually cheating ourselves. We're paying a lot more for the water than actually what we're talking about, that some people are seeing, the 30 or 40 pesos per cubic meter on the bill from Manila or Manila Water. So it's a huge difference, particularly outside the big cities.
Just a follow-up. Dr. Tan mentioned na even Pasig River, pwede po siyang gamitin for the Pasig River. Have you now been talking to like local governments in Pasig? Or meron na po bang do you have communication with private companies and also like local government in Pasig to like the possibility of putting up this desalination system to the Pasig River? And possible po ba talaga yun? Like from like the river to like drinking water level, ganun po ba siya?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So, we've been approached by private utility companies kasi kung maaalala niyo, there's a recent news na magkakaroon ng El Nino sa Pilipinas. And actually, nandito na tayo sa month na yung mga expert natin sinasabi na magkakaroon tayo. So actually, medyo takot nga tayo rin ngayon na baka magkaroon na naman mga water shortage katulad ng na-experience natin for the past years dito sa Metro Manila. It's really a big concern. Kaya yung mga local water companies natin, they're actually thinking of reusing yung mga galing sa sewage treatment plants nila, and even considering a Plan BC to get water from Pasig River. And thankfully, because of technology, 2023 na ngayon, pwedeng gawin yun. So it's just a matter of siguro will ng ating mga agencies, whether local or private or local government, to actually do it.
Thank you very much. There's a question. Ay, may tanong sila, yes. Alam niyo muna.
Erlo Bringas po from Net25. Sir Dondi, ito po, questions ko po sa inyo. Ang sabi po kasi ng Maynila, ito po with terms pa po sa discoloration po na nangyayari, ay kapag nag-react ang level ng manganese sa chlorine na ginagamit na ginagamit naman bilang disinfectant. Kaya daw po nagkaganon. So, nung time niyo po ba, sir, ay nagkaroon din po ng ganitong incident? Or mga ilang beses po nung time niyo po?
Yung time namin, wala pa masyado nun eh.
Opo.
Oo, first, the plants were relatively new, bagong-bago. So, alala ko, andun pa ako when na-inaugurate yung plant eh. So, hindi pa masyadong may problema pa noon eh, bago pa siya noon. But, this issue is not only Metro Manila. Ha? Alam mo, pag pinapag-usapan namin ng water, sorry pero masyado nagpo-focus sa Metro Manila kasi nasa Metro Manila tayo. Pero when it comes to Metro Manila, at this point, siguro mga 98-99% of people have water. Nakakaligtaan na naman natin yung mga tao sa probinsya who have the same problems, no? So, another issue why we get contaminated in the groundwater is because of poorly designed septic tanks. Septic tanks kasi dati, ang design nila may walls, tapos yung ground, lupa lang. So that nagsisip sa ground ngayon, it now enters our aquifer. So, tapos doon ang well mo, pagkukuhanan mo yung same source. So yun ang mas nagiging problem. Sometimes the problem is just discoloration. Madali namang ayusin yan. But the contamination, that's the dangerous part because people can get sick and die.
Let's request now na some of our questions in English first so the other panelists could understand. Sorry, thank you.
How long have you been in the Philippines?
You know, huh?
All these guys,
You know, so
if they don't know Tagalog, they should know by now.
oh, yeah. Good advice.
So, Sir Don, yung discoloration can be dangerous, tama po?
Can be as
This correlation
dangerous.
could be a representation of many factors. It could be manganese, it could be iron, it could be may hard water. So it could be contaminants coming into your system.
Could desalination clean the coloring of the water?
Yes.
Because she said it's the highest.
Let her answer that. So
Can you clean the color?
discoloration.
Be taken out ba? Curious lang ako ha.
Dr.
Kasi
Sanchez, yeah.
I'm very curious.
Yeah, reverse osmosis system, clean everything. Bacteria, iron, color, what's more, humus, everything. So it can only be drinking water coming out from the reverse osmosis system. It doesn't come out any bad water at all. It can only be more or less, depending upon how dirty the raw water source is.
For the sake of our viewers po or our kababayans here in the Philippines, for Aqua-Veritas, can you explain to us, is there a danger when the manganese can drink by the human? Ma'am. May danger po ba? Kapag
I missed that part of class about manganese. It's called.
Actually, I'm sure there's like certain levels of manganese and other even ions, or yung mga sinasabi na even arsenic. Actually, kasama yun sa pagre-research ng isang water utility company if a viable source, if a water source is a viable source for the community to use. So, kung hindi man, then they have to clean it up and reduce it to a certain level that it's actually at the standards of the WHO, I think. And even, I think that we have local guidelines for such concentration. So, you'd be amazed, even for arsenic, there's actually a small concentration that we actually allow. And kung kaya i-treat, then the local utility provider would actually treat it. But again, for reverse osmosis, of course, it can clean such thing. Again, ang output ng reverse osmosis is clean, safe drinking water.
So ma'am, follow ko. So ma'am, this coloration happened last day, no? Yesterday, no? Yesterday, yeah. Here in
Find ako updated sa news.
Maynila. This is Maynila issue, ma'am. Yeah, is it normal? Kasi, ayun po, sabi, Maynila said it is a normal thing. So there is a a level
Is it
of
normal?
normal. Right.
Naka-frown si Mr. Alikpala.
Yan, sir.
It's normal to me. Okay, my answer would be it happens, but it's not acceptable
Very good answer.
because it could have been treated.
Parang-
There are solutions to that discoloration.
Maganda sagot niya. You should go back to government. Para sabihin ng mga tao, crime is normal, but it's not acceptable also, di ba?
Follow up on that.
Yes. Parang corruption is normal.
So follow up on that,
Yes.
sir. Right now, the MWSS regulatory office is they saying that they're investigating the color discoloration of Maynila. Do you agree on the action of MWSS?
Especially in the part of the regulatory office, it's their job. The role of the regulatory office is they approve all the expenses of Manila Water and Maynilad. So, if Maynilad said, sabihin natin during rate review, every 5 years yan, or they said, I'm sure people in the south have complained about discoloration, and if Maynilad, for example, had said, we're going to address that problem, we're going to put in this kind of solution, and then they're going to pass that cost off to the consumers, and then the problem still happens, that means the expense was not correctly incurred, right? And if it was the wrong solution, should it have been passed on, the cost? So that's why the regulatory office is getting involved, and that's why they're investigating it.
Thank you. Wow.
Sir, what's your recommendation for the public, especially residential, maybe residents that are still experiencing water color discoloration?
You know, there's nothing, you can buy, okay, you know how we talked about refilling stations? People pay, how much you pay? 40 pesos. That cost adds up. I don't know if you know how much your cost is per household, but in my household, or other typical household, mga 200 pesos a week. You know, some of the internal infiltration systems that you can put in your faucets or under the sink.
Yes.
Alam mo, siguro mababawi mo yung cost niyan in 1 year, and it goes a long way. If you're compared to yung refilling station, and you can recover that cost, and it adds another layer of security and treatment for your drinking purposes.
Those who are not well off.
Well, that's why everybody, I mean, even lahat sila, first of all, nobody trusts the water from their tap. How many here drink water from their tap, no? So the danger is drinking it. But you said, like you said, kids also take a bath in it, goes to their mouth, that thing. So temporarily, I think you have to rely on other sources for drinking water. If you suspect that your water from your tap is not up to par. But again, that's why 50% of all our households in the Philippines buy from refilling station. Hopefully, the problem in Manila is a temporary issue. Hopefully, it's very localized, and hopefully, it's not a dangerous problem. Let's wait for the investigation of the regulatory office.
Thank you. May tanong dito from, I'll give way to some questions via Facebook Live and Zoom. This is from Susan Cambry, editor of Filipino Mirror newspaper. Sabi niya, tanong niya, she wants to ask again what Mr. Alikpala mentioned earlier about the water supply, safe water supply shortage in Metro Manila and what other regions. You mentioned there are only 2 or 3 regions with good water. 2 regions only
No.
out of 17.
Well, okay. We addressed Metro Manila. We discussed already what the alternative sources are. I'm not, all water in the Philippines, I mean, it's suspect because our wastewater is not properly managed. So
Yes.
in terms of volume, some regions have a difficult time. Also, because even if they have the same volume of rainfall, the population is just high. So there's that conflict, no? So Region 3, NCR, and Region 4A. These are the growth areas, and that's where you're going to have problems with water. But that's not to say, like, we have high rainfall in Bukidnon.
That's a second question of Susan Cambry. Can we do rainwater harvesting? Sabi ni Susan Cambry. I don't understand what,
So, but the problem is, I cannot bring the water from Bukidnon to Metro Manila, di ba? So you have to find solutions. So, I should have discussed rainwater harvesting means capturing the rain from your roof.
from the roof?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yung mga
Yes.
alulod, di ba?
Yes.
Okay, so we have rainfall of about 2.3 to 2.4 meters a year. If a household of, this is just a simple, under other issue. A household with, sabihin natin, 50 square meters ang size ng roof. You get, gawin natin 2 meters. That's 100 cubic meters of rain that falls on, free water that falls on your roof. It's not drinking water, perhaps, but you can use it for so many other purposes. So there are many LGUs now, like Iloilo, that have come up with rainwater harvesting ordinances requiring new buildings to put in rainwater harvesting systems. So this is all part of the supply-demand issue. This can be another supply, and it's a demand issue because if you are using, why will you use potable water for watering your plants? No? So why
yes,
don't you
yes.
use this? So I know of some people who are just relying on rainwater and it serves their requirements for the whole year, as long as they manage it
Thank
well.
you. What about desalination? Can small subdivisions afford that now? Somebody asking here, can subdivisions, communities in the provinces say they want to avail of your containerized subdivision? Is it practical? Like in provinces with the cities with no water, can a whole subdivision say, all of us together pitch in money and go for that? Is it possible? Or it should be government, it should be private sector, companies, big ones?
Yeah, I cannot answer
It should
that
be the
one.
mayor?
I can say that if the demand is like 100 cubic meter per day, of course, then they have to figure out how much they want to pay for the daily use or something like that. But this system produce drinking water of about 30, 40, 50 pesos per cubic meter, and then they have to do the math themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. There's another, there's another question he wants to say.
I can
Yes.
add to that. I have been talking to about 10 mayors, 3, 4 governors about this solution, combining it then with solar just in order to keep the price low.
Yes.
And they're super interested, but the action to take is obviously very long. It's a lot of political decisions, of course. And on top of that, the financing is lacking. But we can provide financing for this.
That's a great idea.
So-
So you have technology and you can also offer financing.
Yes, we can.
It's like buying a car. Yeah, you buy a car, the car
yeah,
seller
kind of.
could help arrange.
Yeah, kind of. I
Financing.
mean, if you can get a couple of hectares for doing solar, so we can keep the price low on the water, and then we put up 1 or 2 or 3 of these containers, then we can do it. And then we can do it for a price that is less than $1 per or 50 pesos per cubic meter.
That's good news for water scarce country. There's somebody watching also via Facebook Live asking through Facebook, Mr. Caleb Biardo, please allow me to ask, how can we make the tap water drinkable for most major cities here in the Philippines? Thank you now for all your talks. He's parang very concerned about the tap water we drink from the faucets, major cities. How can we do it like?
Yeah, a desalination plant then create the drinking water. So if you have a pipe system and everything and maintenance that pipe system, you can get tap water, drinking water from your tap. And as Sunshine was mentioned before, you can see in your houses today when you have your glass, they become foggy and utilities become also gray and so on. So Desalination plant give you drinking water directly from the tap. Yes.
Anyone from Aqua-Veritas?
Yes.
People. My question is, what is the difference between the Aqua-Veritas company to the existing water concessionaires in the Philippines? And water desalination is the removal of the salt from the water, seawater. Are you going to treat the seawater in the Philippines? Because the water concessionaires now are treating only waters in the river, in the lakes, and wastewater. So are you planning to invest here in the Philippines and inform how water desalination is much better to the
Thank you.
existing water?
That's a good question. Can we use the seawater desalination? Can anyone answer?
Yes, of course we can. I mean, desalination is not the new technology, it's an old technology. If you go to Israel, for example, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and all that regions in America, yeah, Singapore, they have desalination plants where the raw water source is seawater.
Thank you.
Is it more expensive, the water desalination, or through the existing treatment that Maynila and Mani Waters are using?
Yeah, reverse osmosis, that's the most expensive way to make drinking water, yes. But if you don't have any other choices, you have to take it. That's and what we say, that the cost per cubic meter is around 30, 40, 50 pesos per cubic meter. And as Dondi mentioned before, if you compare that to the bottle price, it's cheap water, really cheap water.
For Dr. Tan, is it more potable if the water will treat under water desalination? Why?
Is it safer, more potable?
No, so it just wants to say na even for salt water, reverse osmosis, Aqua-Veritas can clean it to drinking water. So whether or not, because you can imagine, perhaps salt water is it's the hardest water source to clean. So you have salt water, you have river water, lake water. Among those, groundwater even, among those options, salt water is the most, it's the hardest water source to clean. So below that, Aqua-Veritas can for sure clean all of it. So that's just the point of having Aqua-Veritas versus osmosis as an option here in the Philippines. Because again, we are in an archipelago. I think most of our water source comes from groundwater. But why not also explore water source from the sea? So having this technology, very, very possible.
Thank you.
One more question
Yes.
for Sir Alipala. The Angat Power Facility is undergoing rehabilitation for
Angat,
61 days. Being one of the top official of MWSS before, is there any effect or in the supply
On
in
the water
Metro
supply.
Manila?
Well, it depends what aspect of Angat, because Angat provides irrigation for Bulacan and parts of Pampanga. It provides water supply for Bulacan, and it provides water supply and may hydropower component. So it depends what aspect of Angat is being rehabilitated. So we'll have to look at, I'm sorry, can I just digress? When I was thinking, I said kanina in terms of absolute scarcity, SATCO Region 3, NCR at Region 4A. I'm sorry, I just remember it's actually NCR, Region 4A, and Region 7 that's experiencing absolute scarcity.
NCR, Region 4A,
And Region 7, where Cebu is.
Region 7. Wow. Scarcity, no? There's a question here also, follow-up for all of the panelists here from people watching sa Facebook Live. They're asking if during natural calamities, typhoons or floods or disasters, can NGOs and big foundations go to you and rent or buy rent the containerized desalination to bring to calamity areas like for the next, like for 1 week, 1 month? Is that possible? Is that they
I
could?
think everything is possible. We're at the
Yes.
beginning stages. It's just, I just want to bring awareness that this technology is now possible here in the Philippines. It's a good point, Sir Wilson, that you said na if there's a calamity like the last one was in, perhaps you can give an example later.
Yes, this big
Yeah,
Yolanda,
yes.
Typhoon Yolanda. If you were here at that time, could they have like, could the big NGOs, philanthropic groups, can the governor of someone rent your,
This could have been a very possible,
can Red Cross or some foundations like work with you and rent?
right, highly possible, of course.
So how do they contact Aqua-Veritas? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a website?
Where is it?
Where could
So
people-
everyone can visit aquaveritas.com. You can also easily find Aqua-Veritas if you Google it. It will just show up, desalination system.
Morning, Mr. Lundgen. Being a third world country, you mentioned the financing and total package for the solution. Do you think this is the best solution for the Philippines to avail of your product, services?
Thank you for the question. Well, yes, I think this is a very good solution for the Philippines, in particular when we're talking about the provinces, the medium-sized cities and the smaller cities and all the islands. To go into Cebu or Manila, I think there are so many people and actors involved in that, so they have to solve it simply. But for the medium-sized cities, municipalities, barangays, and places like that, also when you have talking about new developments, like for instance, BCDA is developing several areas around in this country now from the old American bases, like in Clark, like in Poro Point, and places like that. Definitely this technology is absolutely perfect for that. And the good thing with the technology is that it's very easy to install because you just have a container to put there. Then you connect it to the grid, but if you don't want to have expensive water, then you have to also build a solar farm adjacent to the water solution. But we have talked to many mayors, governors, as I said, also to officials, DNR, etc. And they are super interested. And on top of that, we have actually now also financing for the solutions.
How many LGUs have approached you?
Sorry?
How many LGUs have approached you regarding this
I
proposal?
think I've talked to 10.
Can you identify them, please?
And I haven't really done any marketing about this. This is the
wait.
first time I'm sitting here and doing marketing about
Okay.
this. It's just been through the contact network that I have built up. So, there are, let's say 10 mayors that knows about this. There are 3 or 4 governors. DNR knows about it. A couple of other officials in the government knows about it. Hopefully after this, there will be more people knowing about it. But we wanted to have a prototype up running, and we're going to get that now.
Very good
Mr.
prototype.
Alik, I want to ask Mr. Alikpala, do you agree that we should have dual piping in the households to ensure sustainable use of water, just like what the Japanese are doing?
I think dual piping for many buildings is a fantastic idea because you need the second pipe for rainwater. So it can go, so that's what you use for your toilets and for cleaning. And then you have another line for potable use. So yes, I mean, it's additional cost, but I think in the long term, once you spend it now, in the long term,
Forever.
it will be better because the price of water every year is going up. Diba?
Like the price of eggs and vegetables and meat.
So everything.
Going up.
So you pay for it, the double piping now, so that at least your cost is upfront.
And rice also now. It's like rice.
What's that? I took a Grab coming here. It's even that went up.
Even Grab going up also. You're from Pasig, tama? I know.
Or anyone from Locks, Solana. So how do you intend to convince the local government unit officials to take chances on on this proposal that you have. But, and then the next question is, of course, because I came in late, I don't really know what kind of treatment are you offering to the local government units for the production of potable water.
Thank you for the question. Well, the problem very often is financing, of course. If you have financing, you can probably solve a lot of things. But another issue is also to get some land to have the solar farm connected to the water desalination container. Now, in many cases, we can get land, but then by some reason, people are stuck in the pricing model of water, saying that, you know, water is very cheap. We don't really expect that you're going to contribute to anything like that because your water will be too expensive. But how do you do if you don't get any water? If the water is not there or the water is contaminated, people getting sick, then somebody has to take the decision that we have to invest in this. And that's, I think, one of the discussions you have to have in each and every mayor, each and every governor. In some cases, we have been advised land, and we are in the process of looking into several potential projects. But of course, also some of these elderly people or older people involved, they expect water to be like 20 pesos or 30 pesos for a cubic meter. And that's not going to look like that in a couple of years from now. We can see that prices on water are getting up. And I think price from Manila and Manila water now is up to 40 pesos, while it was around 20, 25 pesos just for a couple of years ago. So of course the price is helping us also to do this type of projects. But I think you have to knock on the doors of the mayors and tell we want to have proper clean water in our pipes, and or we don't get any water at all, and we just have to rely on drinkable water from the bottles. And very few people, actually about half of the population, can afford to do that. The rest, they are, you know, advised to use the water that they get from various sources, and that water can be definitely contaminated or bacteria and other things that you don't really want to have.
Okay, so sir, since you're talking about the funding, I guess you're very well aware of the system in the government, even in the local government units, that you have to go through certain process like bidding. And how do you intend to bring down your proposed prices to be able to get them to convince them to get your proposal?
Maybe Donde can answer that too. But you know, one of the problems is that many cities and municipalities, they don't think they have a problem. So you have to detect the problem first. And secondly, yes, of course, we are prepared to go through all these sort of processes, but it takes normally a very long time. And if you have to wait for 2 or 3 years to solve a problem that can be solved tomorrow, then you have to have people who are really acting on the problem now and not waiting for another election period or whatever it's going to be. So it's important that also the population in this country is actually turning back to their respective politicians and administrations, say, better do something. I know cities in this country that don't deliver water more than 1 hour per day in their tap. Where does the people get their sources from? Yeah, they drill themselves, and they probably get contaminated water from their deep wells. And then, of course, everybody has to buy bottled water to, what did you say, 4,000 pesos per cubic meter? So, I mean, it's ridiculous.
20,000 pesos, sabi ni... wow. Yes.
You know, we keep talking about desalination because they're introducing it, but desalination has been in the country for a long time. Most of the desalination have traditionally been undertaken by island resorts. So one of the first desalination systems actually was Mactan Shangri-La. It might have been the first in the country.
So it's a viable thing.
So yeah, because you know, Metro Cebu was not able to supply many of the resorts in Cebu. So a lot of the resorts had to put up their own desalination systems, like what they're bringing to the country. And I think what's novel about their model is they're trying to level it up, not just at the commercial level, but perhaps at the municipal, at the LGU level. That's,
To make it more publicly available,
Right.
not only the high-end resorts.
yeah, but not only, and on the matter of disaster, it's actually one of the first solutions. MWSS has modules like this. LUA has, that they deploy, water districts have. But these are temporary solutions. And I think what our Swedish colleagues here bring are more permanent solutions. I think it's ideal, for your island communities.
And computerized, no human error.
Yeah,
That's the
because
good
now,
thing. Yes.
everything's AI now. Everyone's
Yes, so
talking AI.
that's another
Yeah,
fantastic
I'm
thing.
curious why you mentioned Clark, because it's not near NEC.
Yes.
It might be good for the solar. Subic maybe. Subic might be ideal. So and again, we're not archipelago. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. We're going to have to rely on desalinated water, on salt water, because you can only have so much water for water from surface and ground. And we don't want to use desalination for rice. And
Why?
it's so expensive. It's so
You don't
expensive.
need desalinated
Don't
water.
need, so-
This is for drinking lang kasi.
Right, so maybe
Yes.
you might want to reallocate water in the future.
Yes.
Because as technology
That's
improves
drinking.
then you go desal and let the dams and surface
And
rivers
the
go for irrigation.
rains. Yes. There's another question about related to the water issue. Two people here texted asking if it's possible, because Sweden is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, can you request the Swedish government to, if they have, like once in a while they have some aid project or loan project, can this be part of it? Can like the Swedish government say, oh, we will give loan and our private sector can provide the water, like what Japan and China and US are doing with the trains, the financing could be from Sweden, or you take care of it wherever it comes from.
Well, in the project that we're now starting in Rizal very soon, actually, we are getting European financing in that.
So no problem,
So
Mr.
it's not specific Swedish, but it's European financing.
Very good.
And secondly, Asian Development Bank
Also open to that.
is very open to this. I've done presentations to Asian Development Bank, and they're super interested in this. It's
Yes,
just that it's a long process to go through Asian Development Bank to
yes.
provide funding for things like this. But they really, really want us to do it, and they will support us.
Somebody asking, do you already have an area for your prototype? Do you have a target area? Is it in Visayas, Mindanao? Do you have an ideal area for a prototype?
It's first of all, it's not a prototype. This has been going on for 5 years already, so it's not a prototype any longer.
Yes.
But you can call it proof of concept in the Philippines, but then
Yes.
specifically for the Philippines. Yes, we're gonna set up the first system now in Rizal,
Rizal
and
province.
and then hopefully later we will set up in Batangas, in La Union, in Cebu, in Mindanao, in Mindoro. There are many places where we have discussions ongoing right now. It's just a matter of that they have to take the decisions. Some of them are a little bit slow in taking decisions, so to speak.
How come there are not many companies doing desalination in the Philippines? What is the distinct advantage of your system compared to available desalination and other systems in the Philippine market today? Kasi kwento ni Mr. Alipala, there are resorts doing it and all that. What is the difference? Para tinanong ng journalist, kasi sinabi lang.
So
Yes.
thanks for the question. Alam mo, it's so interesting in the Philippines. There are some private companies that has used desalination systems, but no one knows how to use it. It's like having a Jaguar, I don't know, a machine that you don't know how to use. So through time, they don't know how to take care of it. I've showed you the typical human errors
Yes,
that
yes,
happens. And they don't know how to, fix it. So, nababaliwala lang. in the end, they go back to the normal, supply that they go to a boat and have water delivered. On the other hand, because this system, Aqua-Veritas, is 100% fully automated, that takes out the human error on making sustainable desalination system.
So you're saying this is like no more human
Wala talaga,
error intervention.
yes.
So
Yes,
you're
100%.
saying, and then somebody asking also, I forgot to ask, what do you mean by containerized? Kasi is it like the container that you use for importing things?
Yes, correct. So
That-
as you
that
can see in the
rectangular
picture,
box?
yes, you can just put it on the truck and then
So it's
go
like
to
portable?
Yes, portable.
Like for example, this month there's a disaster in Leyte. You are
Yes.
there, and next month there's another one in Catanduanes. You can bring it there. That's the idea.
Yes, very correct.
Ah.
So it's really portable. So again, in Sweden, they've been using it for a village near beside a lake. They've been using it in a golf course. Actually, there's a big issue for golf courses getting a lot of water. There's no
complaint.
water sources. So this is actually a good way for golf courses to sustain their greens without having an issue with water supply and demand.
Another journalist from TB saying, is your system, can you change it and upgrade it like a car?
Yeah, yeah.
You have an old system from you now, and later on you have more money, you want to make it bigger and
Correct.
change
Actually,
it? Is
the
it
questions
possible?
are very good from our viewers.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, you can, because it's a container, as you can see, shown you pictures inside. There's space to upgrade or even downgrade if you don't need that much water anymore for output.
Yes. Somebody suggested also, a journalist, you should also not only politicians, maybe you can go to the big civic and business orgs that do charities.
Right.
Now they have this budget for calamities, maybe you can offer as an option now. And if that's possible, how much is the rough estimate cost now of one containerized that they could bring from provinces to provinces?
So actually, again, the price depends on how many filters you will use. So using the filter, it depends how many cubic water you need to actually supply. So you can get the most minimum and just
What is an
for a budget.
example now of a minimum? Wild guess, or you can just message.
Actually, they've mentioned already 50 pesos per cubic meter.
So,
So something like that. So it depends on how much
yes,
how much
the capacity.
you want to provide in your community.
Thank you. We are very fortunate to have our speakers talk about the urgent and important water situation problem and the possible technological and management solutions. Sabi ni Mr. Alikpala, we lack time, so we maybe in the future have another session with maybe some LGU like governor or mayor here. We'd like to invite our speakers for their closing statement, each one. This is not according to age or looks, or it's based on geography. So based on geography, we'll invite again the very distinguished and expert on water, Mr. Dondi Alikpala, to summarize his thoughts and ideas with a closing statement. Mr. Dondi Alikpala, what's going to happen with water in the Philippines and desalination as an option and all that?
Well, again, we're looking, the problem is vast.
Hindi daw better. Uy.
The problem for water is vast, but it can be managed. We have to go beyond traditional solutions of deep wells and surface water sources. We have to be more creative. We have to find ways to harness the drainage, harness floods, desalination, and to a large extent, the solutions are going to be technology. But you need really good leaders, with good institutions and good managers and good governance practices to make it happen. The problem's solvable, but that's why we appreciate for like this to raise the consciousness of the people. raise our leaders, raise our policymakers to put water and sanitation issues at the forefront of things that need to be addressed. So salamat, Wilson,
Yes.
for inviting me on.
So you are very, very enlightened and very good on this issue. Thank you for your thought-provoking ideas, Mr. Dondi Alikpala. Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Roy George Lund. I don't want to make wrong pronunciation. I have to always look. Yes. From Aqua-Veritas, for your closing statement.
Yeah, thank you, Wilson, for inviting me as well. To summarize, our technology, which coming from Sweden, is that, as I said before, reverse osmosis system is an old system. And what we have done is we have taken to another level. So the system is 100% more or less computerized. So you can close the door on the container, go home, and the system will provide drinking water 24/7.
Next, we'd like to invite for closing statement the younger brother of Dolph Lundgren, just kidding, Mr. Klaas Lundgren from Lux Solana Energy Corporation.
I just would say that, just make it happen. This shouldn't be a problem in the world. And, you know, United Nations have stated that by 2030, everybody in the whole world should have drinkable water. That's only in 7 years from now. So in the Philippines, we have the possibilities to solve this problem. Let us make it happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klaas Lundgren, for your closing statement. Last but not the least, a lot of expertise also from Dr. Sunshine Tan. Can you please kindly summarize your ideas, your thoughts, and what Aqua-Veritas and Sweden could offer the Philippines in this time of non-stop water supply problems?
Oo nga, non-stop talaga. Actually, Sir Don, you mentioned na let's not focus also in Metro Manila but other parts of the Philippines. So, kung ang Miss Universe wini-wish world peace, ako wini-wish ko clean, safe water to all Filipinos. Again, alam nyo, dito sa Philippines, we now have our first subway station. We have a lot of firsts. So sana maging country rin tayo nagde-develop sa it's one of our most basic need, water. And I hope na this system or this technology, people would actually grab this and not take it for granted. So yon. Thank you very much for all the questions and your time.